Are you anxiously waiting for the next express entry draw and wondering what you can do to increase your chances of getting invitation to apply? That's the ITA. Don't just sit there. Let's take action together. In this video, I'll share with you 10 important things you can do right now to boost your profile and prepare for your new life in Canada. This could be the game changer you actually need. Today, we will be covering 10 proactive steps you can take while you are waiting for the next express entry draw. Because one thing that I've seen with respect to a lot of applicants is most people will just be sitting in the pool and be waiting without taking the necessary actions to better their chances of possibly getting drawn in the next express entry draw. Number one, I would say improve your language score. Language proficiency is crucial for your CRS score, and I've seen a lot of people make a mistake with this by underestimating their language score. The main tests accepted by the IRCC are the IELTS and the CELPIP for English, and personally I've taken both, and my preference is always the CELPIP because it was much more easier than the IELTS, which is more British, because the CELPIP is mainly Canadian, and TEF for French. And if you are somebody who is worried about increasing your score, here are some tips that I think can come in handy for you. I use some of them and it worked for me. First, enroll in a preparation course to enhance your skill. There's one thing that I learned from taking the IELTS and the CELPIP. Even though I'm a native English speaker, there is a need for you to prepare to enhance your skills, because it's not just about speaking English. It's a standardized test, so that means there is a formula to it, and you should be able to learn and understand how it works. That way you can score high and help improve your CRS score. Secondly, utilize online resources. Personally, I never paid for a course when I was taking any of these courses. I spent most of my time either watching YouTube videos of people who have taken them or people who are teaching them and learning the skills accordingly. And also use the practice tests, because if you do the practice test, it gives you an idea of the areas where you are lacking. That way you can focus on those areas and improve them. If you are good at listening, there's no need to spend all your time redoing listening again when you know you are good at that one. Instead, you can focus on maybe speaking that you think is a challenge for you. That way to help you to improve your test scores. And also make sure you are taking advantage of language apps. There are a lot of them out there. You can either use it to improve your vocabulary or practice how some of the words sound if you are not a native speaker. And last but not the least, I would say consider retaking the tests if your initial scores aren't high enough. Don't be afraid. I've seen a lot of people worry after taking the first test and not make the second attempt to either improve their score, because sometimes just a marginal change in the scores can be the difference between you getting drawn and getting that permanent residency or sitting in the pool for another year. A small improvement sometimes can make a big difference in your CRS score. We've seen people who just need to score maybe an 8 or a 9 on a particular test, and that made the difference for them. So do your check, take advantage of the CRS score calculator and see the optimal score that you need to help you get that nominee draw. I'll give you a real life example. Somebody that I spoke to who was complaining about their score. We checked and realized that, oh, if this person can just score 9 across all his language tests instead of what he currently has, it was going to be the difference between him having 400 points or him having 450 points, which could actually make a difference when it comes to his case. This person has French as a language for him, which means if you look at what they are drawing for French, which is below 450, it could either make or break him. And this person decided to go and take the language test again, and he scored those numbers, and now that person is actually smiling. compared to him just sitting there and waiting. Number 2, I would say gain additional work experience. Work experience is another critical factor in your CRS score, and here is how you can maximize it. When it comes to work, I always advise that you seek out positions that align with your skills and the NOC codes relevant to your field. Also, aim for promotions or take on additional responsibilities to enhance your professional profile. Sometimes the same job that you are doing, if you're able to force and drive yourself to get more responsibilities at that same role, it might get you a promotion that might move you from your current NOC that you are in to a different one, which can make a difference when it comes to your CRS score. And also make sure you keep a detailed record of all your job roles, responsibilities, and achievements, because if you get drawn and you need to submit that application for permanent residency, you are going to need them. Seen cases where people wait and get drawn, and now they'll be running around for that information. So whilst you are sitting there waiting to be drawn, my advice is start gathering all this information so that as soon as you get drawn and you get that IT, you are ready to submit all that information that you can be on your way to getting that permanent residency. Whilst you are waiting, my advice is make sure you are gathering all your employment documents, all the roles that you've had in the past, the job responsibilities and achievements, because you will need them when you get drawn or when you get the ITA. Number 3, whilst you are waiting, enhance your educational credentials. Enhancing your educational credentials can add valuable points to your CRS score. Personally, before I entered the pool, I'm a trained electrical engineer. I had an MBA. I decided to at least enhance my educational credentials by acquiring a diploma in advanced business management, which possibly made a difference in my case. So whilst you are waiting, it might make sense to enhance your educational credentials. That way you might be able to get the extra points that can make the difference for you. And when it comes to enhancing your credentials, you can do something as simple as enrolling in additional courses or certifications relevant to your field. That way, not only are you trying to get extra points, you might still be able to improve yourself and be competitive on the job market. And even if possible, pursue higher education like a master's degree. If your current highest level of education is bachelor's, you pursuing possibly a master's degree which might last you 2 years or even 18 months can make the difference 2 years down the line, and you'll be surprised how fast 2 years comes. Just last week I was talking to somebody. I was telling the person, can you believe we've been here for 2 years now? And it was shocking how fast 2 years has flown by. So whilst you are waiting, it might make sense for you to enhance your educational credentials by acquiring extra degrees, which might end up making you competitive, especially as the numbers that they are going to draw in the coming years is going to drop. Whilst you are waiting, don't just sit on your bum. Find ways and means to enhance your own educational credentials and make yourself competitive. Number 4, I would say secure a job offer in Canada. A valid job offer from a Canadian employer can substantially increase your CRS score. You'll be surprised. And here are some strategies that I think you can use, because when it comes to things like even provincial nomination program, they will still need you to have a valid job offer from a Canadian employer. So if you are inside the country and maybe you just graduated and you've entered the pool, don't just sit down waiting with your fingers crossed, hoping to be drawn. You can try getting a valid job offer from a Canadian employer. Not only will they be helpful when it comes to the pool, you might be able to still take advantage of it when it comes to things like provincial nominee programs. If for you your excuse is very difficult finding jobs, my advice is use platforms like Job Bank, LinkedIn, and even Indeed. Most of these platforms, people are always posting jobs. You can sometimes you just set yourself up on there that you are looking for a job. and you will have employers reaching out to you. As much as people will say it's not happening, trust me, if your profile is competitive enough, you will have employers reaching out to you. Some of us have been lucky that it's happened to us, so we know it happens. So don't just follow the crowd and say, oh, those jobs are not valid. No, oh, those jobs you apply, nothing happens. My advice is go on there, look at what they are looking for, and try to adapt your resume and showcase your skill sets and make yourself competitive. If you are the one that fits the particular position, trust me, they will call you. It's shocking that sometimes you speak to employers who are looking for candidates and they tell you that, oh, we got 200 applications, but none of them fit the profile that we are looking for. So try to position yourself accordingly. And beyond just applying, always network with professionals in your field through online platforms and even industry associations, because a lot of these jobs are given out through the informal job markets. It will be shocking for you to know that about 80% of the jobs that are offered in Canada are not even posted online. It's either given out through referrals or through some of these networking. So make sure you are taking advantage of these ones to help position yourself when it comes to job search. And with all this, if you are still struggling, consider engaging with a recruitment agency that is specialized in placing foreign workers. There are people out there whose core duty is to place the right candidates with the right employers. As much as it might come at a cost to you, it might help you in the long run to land that job that you always wanted. Number 5, whilst you are waiting, I'll say stay updated with immigration information, because things are always changing. And it will be good to also change and evolve accordingly with the changing landscape. So stay informed about immigration updates and trends, because this is going to be crucial. How can you get this one done? One, I would say, if you are in the pool, make sure you are following all the official sources like IRCC and the registered Canadian immigration websites, and sometimes even their Twitter handles, so that any news that comes out, you are one of the first people to hear about it. That way you can make sure you make the necessary changes to make sure you are positioning yourself in the right lights. Secondly, join online communities and forums that are dedicated to Canadian immigration. It's always advisable to at least move with people who are in the same pool or same boat like you. So by joining most of these online communities and forums, at least if you don't hear about it online, you hear somebody talk about them, and that way you can make the necessary adjustments to your profile or make necessary adjustments to your strategy when it comes to your Canadian immigration pathway. Number 6, whilst you are waiting, I'll say gather and organize your documents. You are waiting and you know you'll be drawn. It will be good to make sure you gather and organize all your documents. Preparing your documents in advance can save you time and reduce stress. If you are in the pool and you have faith that you are going to be nominated, why not start preparing those documents that you know you will be needing when you get nominated, so that you don't have to wait, and when you are nominated and you have to submit your application in 60 days, you will now be running around. If you are in Canada now as an immigrant, there is a high chance that you now need to reach back to your employers back home, to your school back home, to get all those documents. So why not do that now? That way you can stay ready, so you don't have to be ready when you are nominated. And if you are not aware, some of the essential documents that you might need, one is proof of funds. You are going to need the money. So at this time, if you are in the pool, you should know how much money you need and how you are going to prove it. Secondly, you will need police certificates from all the countries that you've lived in for 6 months or more before you submitted your application. Thirdly, there is a medical exams from the IRCC approved physicians. So if you haven't done this, you should at least be planning on how you can get that one done. And I know sometimes, depending on which pathway you decide to pursue, you might not need to submit this particular document. In my case, I submitted a plain sheet because I've already done the medicals before and it worked like magic. Also, things like work and education records such as reference letters, transcripts, and certificates, you are going to need them. If you don't have them, this is the time to go searching for them and make sure you have the originals ready just in case it's needed. Having all these documents ready can expedite your application process once you receive ITA. That way, as soon as you receive the ITA, you will be ready to submit, because with every day that you are waiting, it might be an extra day that you might have to wait for that particular PR to be processed. So why not cut that one down? I've seen and heard of people who were able to submit the application when they received their ITA in less than 2 days. And most of these people stayed ready, so they didn't have to be ready when that ITA came in. Number 7, whilst you are waiting, I'll say improve your CRS score, possibly with provincial nominee programs, that's the PNP. Sometimes, depending on your age or your situation, the federal draw might not be the way for you. So you might want to look at the PNP and see whether it might be the way for you to get your ITA. Because the good news is if you get a PNP nomination, you are getting 600 points, which is virtually like an automatic ITA or automatic drawing in the next draw that they run. PNP offers a pathway to permanent residency for candidates who may not have enough CRS points for a federal ITA, and here is how you can utilize them. One, I always say research PNPs to find the ones that align with your profile. And the truth is, whichever province that you are in, it would be nice to target that one, because with most provinces, if you are applying from another province, they will punish you for at least not choosing them as your first place of landing. If you come to Manitoba, you decide to pursue the PNP and you've studied in another province, they deduct you 100 points. If you've worked in another province, you deduct you another 100 points. So imagine if you studied and worked in another province, you are already losing 200 points as soon as you land, compared to somebody who is already in Manitoba. Because the truth is, if the person is already there, there's a high chance of that person staying compared to you who has tested other provinces before choosing Manitoba. Secondly, I would say after researching the PNPs that align with your profile, make sure you submit expression of interest, that's IOI, to the provinces that you are interested in. The only way for you to win the lottery is to buy a ticket. And how do you buy that ticket? By showing your expression of interest. Show the expression of interest and your skill sets align with the province, they might nominate you. And with that nomination, it comes with the 600 points that you would need to at least get drawn in the next draw. See, make sure you are staying updated on all the provincial criteria and requirements. That way, if there's a need for you to update your requirements, you can do that accordingly. With all this changing that is happening in Canada's immigration. Number 8, I would say whilst you are waiting, strengthen your personal and professional network. Building a network can provide you with valuable support and opportunities. And here are a few tips that I think can help you strengthen your personal and professional network. And remember that I'm stressing on personal and professional, because beyond just professional, you need to build your personal network because you are going to need them. Firstly, I would say make sure you are connecting with immigrants who have already moved to Canada. If you are not here, make sure you are connecting with people who are already here so that you can learn firsthand information of what's happening on the ground. If you're already here, make sure you are connecting with people who have either charted the path that you are trying to take, or people who are already on that path, so you can learn from them. Also, join industry specific associations and online forums, because that's the only way for you to learn about those industries. By joining those specific industry associations, you can learn from them and also engage in community service and volunteer work. This is one way for you to meet new people and learn from them. In Canada, everybody likes to volunteer, and personally I was surprised the first time I chose to volunteer, the kind of people that I found myself in the same room with. CEOs, managing directors who are volunteering. And because we are all sharing the same course, you are now able to talk to them, pick their mind on things that are important to you. And because you are selfless and giving your time out, most times they will be prepared to listen to you and give you their time. Number 9, whilst you are waiting, I'll say prepare for the Canadian job market. Understanding the Canadian job market and tailoring your application material can increase your chances of securing employment. This is one thing that we were taught when we studied here, and I saw a lot of people take it for granted. But as we enter the job market, you begin to see how important tailoring your resume and your cover letter is. Because if you're just looking for entry-level jobs, then you can just use any resume because you will just be in the midst of all the applicants. But if you want to stand out, it will be good to look at the job posting and tailor your resume accordingly, or tailor your resume to align with the kind of jobs that you want to at least chase on the job market. If you tailor your resume like a salesperson, you will only have recruiters reaching out to you about sales jobs. If you tailor your resume as a senior manager, they will look at you as a senior manager. If you tailor your resume like an entry-level person, that is how they are going to look at you. That's why sometimes if you tailor your resume as a senior manager and you apply to an entry-level role, you might not hear from them. So make sure you are tailoring your resume accordingly. I always say research the industry trends and the in-demand skills based on the kind of jobs that you want. That way you know the skills that they are looking for, and also adapt your resume. Make sure you are reading the resume and try to understand what they are looking out for. That way you can adapt your application documents accordingly. Some of us were lucky to take a whole course on resume building in school. If you have not had that privilege, my advice is educate yourself on how to get that one done, because it will come in handy whilst you are waiting. And also prepare and practice interview skills and consider mock interviews, because they are going to be very important if you are looking for jobs, because with those applications you will be called for job interviews, and the last thing you want to happen is to get called for interviews but not be able to prove yourself. In those interviews, they'll be looking beyond just what is on your resume. They'll be looking to talk to you, to understand who you are and how you think. And there is a way to answer interview questions. So it's something that you need to educate yourself on whilst you are waiting for the next job. Typical example is learning how to answer common Canadian interview questions can help you stand out to most employers, because there are common questions that almost in every interview you are going to get asked. So it will be good to at least know these questions and prepare for them accordingly. That way you will not be found wanting when those ones come up. And number 10, whilst you are waiting, I'll say plan for your settlement in Canada. This is something that most people don't do. Preparing for your move and settlement in Canada can ensure a smooth transition. And some of the key areas that you can look into when it comes to settling in Canada: one, I would say researching housing options and considering your temporary accommodation, because before you land or before you move to that province, you might have to land in a temporary accommodation. And also, if you are going to live here, you need to know the type of accommodation that are available, how much is going to cost you, which areas you are comfortable living in, which areas you are comfortable moving your family to, and all the implications that it comes with. Secondly, understand the Canadian healthcare system and obtain the necessary health insurance, because depending on the province that you are going into, different insurances might apply to. Different provinces have different insurance that you can take advantage of, and sometimes it might take you some time to get your insurance, so you might need to get maybe a third-party insurance accordingly. And by understanding the Canadian healthcare system, it might sometimes help you to save costs, because even though the healthcare is free, it might not be readily available to you when you need them, as some of us have found out. And also, if you are coming in with children, I would say start researching educational options for your children to understand the type of schools that you can take them to, because sometimes, depending on where you decide to locate yourself when it comes to accommodation, it can affect the kind of schools that you can take your children to. And last but not the least, I would say plan your finances. This is something that people don't do. And make sure you are opening a Canadian bank account as soon as possible, so that money that you are bringing in, you might have a place to put them. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description area. If you are interested in opening a bank account to CIBC, you can use my referral code and get a free $500 as my bonus to you as you enter this new year. I always say, before you come in, knowing where to live and how you will manage your finances can really reduce the stress and help you settle quickly. And most people take this for granted when we tell them that make sure you are coming with enough funds to help you make your life as comfortable as possible. So there you have it. These are 10 important things to do whilst you wait for the next express entry draw. Remember, proactive preparation can significantly enhance your chances of receiving an ITA and ensure a smoother transition to Canada. And if you're already here, possibly a smoother transition within Canada as you change from one status to the other. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more tips on moving and living in Canada. If you have any questions or topics that you'd like to cover, please drop it in the comments section below. Good luck with your express entry journey, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, cheers.